hundreds of thousands of our pensions. And in Minnesota, Governor Walz cracked down on union busting and gave more workers paid leave. Together, they support the PRO Act, making sure we are supporting workers like myself, like you all, working people who want to organize and bargain for a better life. This week, my family and I plan to vote early, and I encourage you guys to make a plan, game plan. You know, you don't know what's going to come up on election day. That's what's getting me to vote early. But much like Coach Walz, and I'm sure, you know, in his all his success in coaching, he knows about game planning. Be like the coach and just game plan your way down to the voting place and take a friend. I'm taking my wife, I'm taking my boys, and we're going to vote together as a family, which is one of the rights that we appreciate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our next Vice President of the United States and a former union member, Governor Tim Walz.
Wow. Marco, thank you. Incredible career, living that dream you talked about. He's also a humble guy. He's a champion football coach, too, so I might add to that. Lead with that. Mayor Nichols, thank you. Thanks for welcoming us here today on this beautiful Monday. I'm taking that line, standing with Manitowoc over Mar-a-Lago. It works in Milwaukee, it works in Madison, works in Mankato. We'll use it across the country. I come here as a neighbor to you from the Iron Range to Packerland. We all know we're united around the dignity and the pride of working people, union members. Kamala Harris and I have a plan to build the American industrial strength powered by American workers. Minnesotans know this, and you've seen it with the Vice President. I promise you, when we win this election, we will have your backs just like you've had our back every step of the way. The defining arc of American economic story is people came here to Wisconsin from across the country, across the world, for a shot at a better future for their families. And in the process, they built the engine that built this country. Vice President Harris understands. She grew up in a middle-class family. She understands that manufacturing jobs are the ticket to the middle class, a ticket that doesn't require you go into debt with a college degree. And under her leadership, we're winning the race to make sure the future is made in America. Kamala Harris has helped spur the resurgence of American manufacturing. As Vice President, she's invested in working people. Today, there are more factories being built, more manufacturing and construction jobs, and more American energy being produced than on any single day during Donald Trump's presidency. He's also proud, and you all know it here, proud to be part of the most pro-labor administration in history. She and I are unafraid, and we've done it. We've walked the picket lines alongside you. We've demanded better pay and working conditions. We've fought side by side with unions to save more than 1 million workers' pensions. As governor of Minnesota, I signed one of the biggest packages of pro-worker policies in the history of Minnesota. It is making Minnesota one of the best states for workers, and guess what? One of the best states for business. You can do both. That's Kamala's vision for the entire country, where workers are respected, they're lifted up, they're paid, they're protected, and we grow our economy. Now, look, Donald and JD have a little bit different view on that. I said this, and they want to talk about it. They know how to manufacture bullshit, and they prove it every single day. That's what they manufacture. This guy tells you, and listen, I don't know if it matters anymore, they fact check him all the time. He talks a big game. but he was an absolute disaster for working people. He was one of the biggest losers of manufacturing jobs in American history. While Vice President Harris has overseen the creation of nearly 190,000 jobs in Wisconsin, including 22,000 manufacturing jobs. Donald Trump, during his leadership, 84,000 Wisconsin jobs gone, including 6,000 manufacturing jobs. It's who he is. Trump's presidency was an endless string of broken promises. He promised to fight for union workers, repeatedly turned his back on them. He even encouraged companies to move to anti-union states so they could pay their workers less. There's a reason unions across this country has endorsed Kamala Harris. And I want to say this, all unions have done this, but I'm going to give a shout out to the UAW at this and their president made it as clear as possible. Donald Trump's a scab, and that's what unions do. Look, they could care less about union workers. They care about their billionaire friends like Elon Musk. Now look, there's a reason that I called the guy in a good Midwestern insult the other day. I said it because I had seen a clip, and all of you have seen it, where he and Donald Trump laughed about the idea of firing striking workers. Why negotiate with them? Just fire him. That's how he thinks about you. He thinks your jobs are a joke. That's why I called him a dipshit, and I stand by it. I stand by it. He wants to make this guy the economy czar, a guy who doesn't care about his workers, doesn't care about paying overtime, laughs about your jobs, and laughs about firing you when you go on strike. That's who these guys are. And while Trump promised he was going to stop the offshoring of jobs, here's what he did. He cut taxes for corporations during his presidency. Those very places he cut taxes for shipped 200,000 jobs overseas. He awarded $425 billion in federal contracts to companies that were offshoring. So think about what that just means. He took the tax dollars you paid to offshore your jobs to give a tax cut for those very companies that did it. As a result of those trade wars, and let's be very clear, his mismanagement of COVID, by the end of his presidency, he had wiped out more than half of the manufacturing jobs that had been created in the previous decade. He was asleep at the wheel while China seized the advantage, and now he says we should just let China dominate the industries of the future. That's who this guy is. Look, no surprise, Trump's all talk when it comes to being tough on China. We found out that his Trump-branded Bibles were printed there. I said this, he outsourced God to the Chinese. And then my favorite was this, though, as I said, I was going to try and show him a little bit of grace. You know, I don't really blame him, because the Made in China sticker was inside the Bible, a place he'd never seen. So that was, you know who he is. Well, look, from praising Xi Jinping, he loves him. He rules his people with an iron fist. That's what Donald Trump said. Praising a Chinese dictator, why he outsources to him, outsources your jobs, and then gets in front of people and tries to tell him he's tough on this. The last week, he's been calling our country the garbage can of the world. What an unpatriotic scab to say such a thing. To say such a thing. Look, now he's literally trash-talking us, but the American public needs to be fed up with it. They need to be fed up with it. We talk about the president's bully pulpit, to be able to speak with courage, to inspire the American people. He only knows one way to be a bully, and that's what he thinks strength is, pushing down on people who are less than him. It's time for the American people to stand up to the bully, put him in his place, and be done with Donald Trump. But look, we know who he is, and I think it's important to know who he is. But when you go to the polls, Americans have always been an optimistic people, looking to the future. Folks in Wisconsin don't fear the future. You just build the future. And we need to give you something to go into that voting booth. Those who haven't already early voted, give you something to vote for, not just against. So let me lay out here very simply exactly what President Harris will do under her administration. We're going to create an American forward strategy for manufacturing, one that builds on the historic investments in the bipartisan infrastructure law, the CHIPS Act, the Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, one that empowers American workers to revitalize manufacturing communities so we can lead in the industries of the future and we can keep what we've always done, out innovating, out competing the rest of the world. That's what we've always done. We'll cut red tape to unleash American potential in industry so we can build more and build faster. We create a more America Forward tax credit that ramps up investments to create more jobs in strategic industries, essential to our economic growth and our national security. And tax cuts that reward companies that guarantee the right of workers to organize into unions. We're going to eliminate outdated and unnecessary degree requirements while increasing skill development for 500,000 federal jobs. We did it in Minnesota. We took off the requirements because Kamala and I believe that anyone that has the skills to do a job should be able to get that job, formal degree or not. We've set a goal of doubling the number of apprenticeships and other training opportunities that lead to good-paying union jobs by the end of that first term. And let's be very clear on this. Kamala Harris has pledged and she will sign the PRO Act, making it easier to unionize. Look, we need to reform our tax laws to make it easier for businesses to let workers share in their company's success. And we'll never let other countries like China undermine these investments with unfair trade practices across the globe. This includes supporting American-made products and steering federal contracts to firms that produce things here at home, just like the factory we're standing in. That's a plan, not a concept of a plan. And we're damn proud of it. Donald Trump, they have a plan. I want to be clear on this. I said they don't have a plan. They do have a plan. And they go even a little further than a concept of plan. It's 900 pages, and it's called Project 2025. I know you're hearing about it, thank God. It's about time people started to be learning a little bit about this. I've said this, I know Marcos knows this, coach football long enough, you got a playbook, you open it up and use it. That's exactly what Project 2025 is. They're not waiting. They want this guy to win the election, they want him to get inaugurated, and then they want to start implementing it. And I'll tell you what that playbook is. It's a goddamn nightmare for American workers. It undermines our system, it undermines unions, it undermines the middle class. They'd repeal the bipartisan infrastructure law, and all those people across this, every mayor in this state, every mayor across this country, every county commissioner, every homeowner out there, that bipartisan infrastructure act was the best thing that we've done since the Eisenhower interstate system. Thousands of new jobs across the state of Wisconsin. He'd establish his Trump sales tax on everything from groceries to prescription drugs, costing middle-class families $4,000 a year. Don't take the bait and switch. Oh, I'm going to eliminate income tax. Oh, that sounds damn good. Well, then how are you going to pay for the cops? How are you going to pay for the Army? How are you going to pay for the roads? You know how they're going to do it? They're going to put taxes on the middle class for every damn thing you buy. Well, you got $400 million sitting down at Mar-a-Lago that your daddy gave you. You don't care about those things. The rest of us care about it. So be very clear. The rich already have it. He takes them down to Mar-a-Lago, says, you're rich as hell and I'll give you a tax cut. This is another bait and switch. Don't buy it because it's exactly what it is. A tax on the middle class on everything we buy. He would repeal the Affordable Care Act. And this was a good one because now all of a sudden, oh no, I love the Affordable Care Act. I only tried to get rid of it 60 times. You understand what that would mean. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, the big thing about that was it took the power out of insurance companies to discriminate against you because you had a pre-existing condition. Those of you who've been through this rigmarole where you need to be pre-approved or whatever, well, I don't know, my appendix broke. Perhaps I should be able to get in and get care for. I don't know. You have to call some insurance guy who tells you, well, we're not sure we want to pay that. The ACA made sure that pre-existing conditions were something that they couldn't discriminate on. And now they're talking about this week, Trump's plan bankrupting Social Security in the next 6 years. Social Security and Medicare are the best anti-poverty programs we've ever had. We negotiated with them, we pay into them. Just like our defined benefit pension plans, I'll be damned if they'll take those from us. We will strengthen them. So look, folks, we got a chance to turn a page here. Elect a new generation of leadership, not a nearly 80-year-old man screaming at clouds every day, but a new generation. Chart a new way forward. We got 8 days. We got 8 days to go on this. Race is going to be close. It is going to be close. 1 vote per precinct. Maybe here or there we pick up some folks. We get somebody to the polls. Each one of those will make a difference. So my ask of all of you today on a bright and sunny Monday morning where the Packers won and the Vikings lost, which would be happy as hell. I'll take it. I earned that one. First and foremost, you need to vote. You need to vote. If you need to vote early in person at any location across these municipalities, bring your ID with you. You can register and vote at the same time during early voting. It's underway now on Election Day, November 5th. If you're feeling generous, go to KamalaHarris.com, give $1 or $2, because all this work, all these rallies, all these meetings, all those ads you're sick of, all of the door knocking, all of the phone banking, all of the things you're doing, really they translate into one thing. It needs to be that little sticker that says I voted on more people who believe in America, believe in the promise, are hopeful, joyful, and believe in the middle class. That's what it's going to be. So look, we're leaving it all on the field. Unlike the Bears, I might add, but they earned it too, because we believe in this country, but believe in what we can do. We're going to have to fight for it, and the Vice President of the United States has told us that. When we fight, we win, but this week we're changing it. When we vote, let's win this thing, Wisconsin, move on.